Hey, thank you very much for that introduction. And thanks everybody for attending session. If you've been in the other sessions in the last couple of days, you've heard a lot about the challenges that we're facing in this industry, the challenges that we're facing with consumers. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what are those challenges, how are they manifesting, and then what are the strategies that we can implement that are going to challenge us in the marketplace? And let's talk a little bit about what these are and then some of the ways that some disruptors in the industry are really capitalizing on this. First is expectations of leadership. But what's interesting about leadership is that it doesn't just mean being the visionary for your field, having the best product, having the foresight to know what product should come next. It's leadership in the sense of being out there in the community, about having an idea about who you are, who your brand is, what the personality of your brand is. Some of you may never have even thought of your brand as needing to have a specific personality. So consumers surveyed about this in a PricewaterhouseCoopers survey indicated this was a really important consideration for them for over 70% of consumers. You may have heard Tony Bender speak yesterday about Dollar Shave Club. So Dollar Shave Club, for those of you who weren't there or who haven't heard this before, this is a ground-up company that sells razors online. It's a subscription service. Their razors aren't particularly extraordinary. It's not about the product. It's really about this brand and, in particular, their leader. So in terms of expectations of leadership, they've got this guy who's like, he's sort of like, I'm the little guy. He has these little jabs at traditional industry where, hey, you know, retailers are locking up the razors because they're expensive and you don't want people to steal them. It kind of seems like they don't even want you to buy them. Well, you know what? I want you to buy my razors. And I also want to save you a whole pile of money every month. And I'm going to deliver them to you. And isn't this great? We're going to beat the big guys. We're going to beat the little guys together, and we're going to overturn the industry. And this is what's meant by leadership. Another example of this is Warby Parker. Warby Parker is an eyeglasses company. They're extremely cool and hip. If you haven't heard of them, don't feel bad. I am not cool enough to have a pair. But they've cultivated this perception of leadership. They were started by 4 guys from Wharton who got together and have this rallying cry that glasses are too expensive. And so we're going to create glasses that are inexpensive. They're going to be incredibly cool. You're going to be able to order them online. And also, we're going to give back to the community. And so this is so appealing to exactly the people who care about this. We're talking about millennials, right? Like, so this appeals like supremely to this group of people. So another challenge we're seeing here is consumer control. And this goes hand in hand with this digital revolution that we're seeing. Consumers can look up anything they want on Google. They are reading reviews. They are writing reviews. They're going to talk about it on Instagram. They're going to talk about it on Twitter. And you better be there to respond. And so these disruptors, again, are really taking advantage of this. So Warby Parker has this concept where they send you a box of glasses. First of all, I don't know if you guys have heard of the kind of unboxing trend that exists today. This is like literally millions of views of people unwrapping stuff. Right? It's fun, it's cool, and it's like a really exciting experience to open these packages and see these things that are really awesome. So Warby Parker is right on top of it, right? They send you a box of 5 frames that you pick out, and you get to put them on and try them out and send them back, and then pick the one you want, and then they'll send you the actual glasses for it. And that feeds us right into kind of the next challenge is online purchasing. Purchasing down $35 billion to $17 billion from 2009 to 2013. This goes with these online purchasers. So why go to your local CVS and buy a razor when you can just go to Dollar Shave Club, order it online, and then you just keep sending it to you. You never have to go to a store to buy razors again. This is eating away at the traditional brick and mortar, having distributors, having buyers, plan that's been in place forever for most brands. So this is something that is a challenge that has to be rethought. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to go straight e-commerce. You don't necessarily have to do that, but it is a consideration. Your people are going online. They're all on their phones. They're all on their computers. You better make sure that we're there too, right? And then loyalty. So there's like the idea that once you've gone through the trouble of researching something, once you decide you like a message, once you identify with this brand, there has to be some incident, some negativity associated with the brand for them to make that change. So while you might go into a store and not have an affiliation, say, with a particular razor, I might have a favorite, but I can be kind of swayed either way. If you're just getting something delivered to you online, and you really like that idea of the irreverent spokesman who's like going to stick it to the man, and it shows up at your door, and it's relatively inexpensive, there's not a lot of reason for you to change. Okay, those are the things we need to do. That's what we want. Okay, how do we do that? Like, practically speaking, the theory is great. What are the actual ways in which we move this forward? So we'll talk a little bit now about how we create the strategy that goes along with this. So this is pillar one, big and small data. So what kind of data should we be looking for, and what do we do with it? This is kind of the hard part, right? Because this is not always going to be the same for everyone. You're going to go figure out what is the way that we engage with the people that we want to engage with. This focuses on opt-in information, first-party information. This is definitely the best source because it's from the user. You also can look at your web traffic in general. You can look at your retail data. Any information that you can kind of get to figure out who are our users in a big sense, and then in a little sense, who are they literally? What are their names? What's their gender? What do they care about? What do they do on the weekend? What other things do they choose to consume when they're not consuming our products? Things like that for that specific person. So this first case study is Channel 4 and Coca-Cola. So Channel 4 and Coca-Cola partner up in order to take user data, tiny user data, user's name, and personalize the advertising that occurs when the user is watching these streaming TV shows. And we'll go ahead and watch a little bit of a video on that.
Coca-Cola presents the world's first fully personalized TV campaign. Everyone loved Share a Coke. Everyone wants to see their name on a bottle. In year 2, we gave the 11 million viewers of the 4OD catch-up TV platform their wish. We used a tiny piece of data, people's 4OD sign-in name, to create a personalized TV ad for each viewer. In total, we created 4 million TV ads that called each individual viewer by name on the Share a Coke bottle. $4 million ads that engaged and excited the viewers. We used a tiny piece of data to bring happiness to people's TV viewing, and people loved it. So much so that the social reach of Share a Coke peaked to 11 million. They didn't just tweet though. Campaign awareness was up 17%. Ad recall was 71%. Purchase intent increased 24%. Turns out, addressing people by name, treating people as humans, works. That's how you use small data to spread big happiness.
All right, so this was a really simple idea, right? The user logs in on Channel 4, gives them their user information, including their first name. Unbeknownst to them, Channel 4 is going to populate the advertisement that they get while they're watching these shows. It's exciting and fun because you're watching a boring advertisement, waiting to get back to your TV show, and all of a sudden your name pops up in it. And you can see it generated a ton of buzz for the campaign. Tons of people posted about it, hashtags all over the place, and it was a huge success for this particular brand. So this is just one kind of thought, right? This is just one way that you can say, I'm going to take a little bit of information about my users and take that information and personalize something for them. So it doesn't have to be as grandiose as a partnered ad campaign, but it could be something where you're allowing them where you're personalizing a site just for them, you're storing some information just for them, you're doing something special for the user that lets them feel more a part of your brand. So this is kind of an example of the small data concept. So pillar 2, personalization and omni-channel. So what we want out of this pillar is to have a brand experience that makes users excited to come back. And so I'll show you an example here of another customer that we work with who has done this really well. This is Whole Foods Market. So you start Whole Foods Market and you log in on their site, and you can do things like select special diets. So you can personalize the site to say, I'm lactose intolerant, I'm vegetarian. So now Whole Foods knows something about you, and they're going to give you something in return, which is a more personalized experience. You also might give them some of your information about where you live. What Whole Foods will do with that is use it to show you your closest store, and it also will allow Whole Foods to do personalization for you based on that store. So store events, promotions that are relevant to your region. The way that you're going to sign up in the first place, the reason you're going to sign up in the first place is because Whole Foods Market has on their site a whole bunch of these great recipes. In addition to those recipes, they have a recipe box. And in addition to that recipe box, they have a set of grocery lists. So that if you sign up, if you log into their site, you can go to their website, find a recipe that you like, save it to your recipe box, and you can also save it to your grocery list. The grocery list will pull all of the needed items off of your recipe and put them in a list for you. And now you've got that saved because you've logged in. It's associated with your profile. Then you drive over to the store and log back in, and there's your grocery list. And so now you're walking around the store with your phone, and you've got a list with a bunch of check boxes in it, and you're just walking through Whole Foods, putting things into your cart, checking them off, and the list reacts dynamically so that you can easily get everything you need for your recipe that night. So Whole Foods has taken an experience that you have on your computer at work, moved it to your mobile phone, and then allowed you to complete it in their store, making the purchases that you decided to make based on the earlier research you'd done that day. They can also now give this customer offers that are relevant to them, that are timely, and then the user has dinner all ready to go. So this is a completely unified experience, a completely personalized experience, and a completely omni-channel experience. This user who is using this feature is going to have a hard time going anywhere but Whole Foods if they are looking for a place to go get dinner delivered. All of a sudden, it seems archaic to write out a grocery list because they've just got everything on their phone, and they can add things that are even outside of their recipe box. They can just add whatever they want to that grocery list, and it's all taken care of for them. It makes it really easy for them to start to rely on Whole Foods, to start to become for Whole Foods to really become their go-to. All right, and the last pillar, loyalty and trust. How do we earn it? How do we sustain it? How do we build it? So you don't have to be the Dollar Shave Club guy. You don't have to be the 4 guys from Wharton starting Warby Parker. You don't have to go out and find a spokesperson who's like, going to stick it to the man and going to be every guy and be irreverent and funny. You can just treat your customers like individual users, be transparent with them, tell them what you're trying to do for them, help them understand who you are, and then work to build on that relationship. And so, really simple example for this one, which is Philips. So Philips is something really simple. They invite you to register your product, and then once you're on the site, Philips invites you to be part of their brand. They're offering a newsletter subscription option. Stay in the know, get the updates on products you care about, get the updates on the products you own. Second, new kind of lifestyle things. So this is the things that Philips stands for, which is healthy lifestyle through the use of technology and technological products. This is things like air filters and toothbrushes and personal healthcare devices. And Philips invites the consumer to participate in that, for Philips to just send them information that's completely irrelevant to their products, but to help them live a healthier life. The third item on here is participating in blogs, writing reviews, focus groups, things like that, allowing them to participate as much or as little as they want to. And then the last item is, I think, kind of the most interesting one. It's testing and reviewing products, giving the user the opportunity for an early look at a product so that they can test it, check it out, and give Philips feedback. And so the idea is like a consumer could potentially get a free, brand new, like not yet released Sonicare toothbrush that's not on the market yet and review it for Philips, just tell them what they think, which is super appealing to certain consumers. And so this is a great example without kind of being bombastic or ostentatious or needing to go directly to e-commerce that allows Philips to to develop loyalty and trust with the user. And you can see that it is the beginning of an iterative cycle. So if a user does sign up to be a tester and then they do get that toothbrush and they do test it and they give that feedback to Philips, and Philips engages with that consumer again, and it's another positive experience for that consumer, then now the consumer is even more invested in Philips as a company. And so that it becomes this positive reinforcement cycle of loyalty and trust with the brand. So just to kind of like tie it all together, this is this like kind of cute slide that explains the kind of the full cycle, like the full scope of what we just discussed. You've got Sam. She is a millennial, aren't they all? She lives in New York. She likes music. You have her birth date here. Using this information, we need to give her the most relevant customer experiences on all her devices. You can see all her devices up there, all her touch points, web, mobile, apps, social. You need to be able to touch her on all of those places. And then below is just these are the mechanisms in which she can be reached. So this just kind of is a visual representation of like the type of information to get, the places it can be accessed. So I think that kind of covers it. I'm happy to answer any questions offline or talk to anyone who wants more information. We'll be around the next couple of days. So thanks again. Appreciate the time.